السلام عليكم. الرحمن والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا سادات أصحاب رسول مدد يا مشايخ دستور مولانا شيخ الفاتح صاحب محمد الرحمن مدد طريقتنا الصحبة والخير في الجميع. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allah Azze ve Celle buyuruyor: İnnâme amvâlikum ve evlâdikum fitne. Malınız, çocuğunuz, çoluğunuz size imtihandır diyor.
Allahumma says that your belongings, your possession and your children are a test and a trial.
Allah Azze ve Celle onlar emanettir.
Your possession, your belongings, your children are something that Allah Almighty has entrusted you with.
Onları Allah yolunda olanlar olsun diye uğraşın.
And Allah Almighty has entrusted you with your property and with your children so that you may raise and use them on the way of Allah Almighty.
Allah yolunda büyütün.
Raise your children to be so that they may follow the way of Allah Almighty.
Allah sevdiği kullardan olması için uğraşın.
Try to do your best to ensure that your children become servants whom Allah Almighty loves.
Çocuklarınızı, ailenizi fedakarlık isterim.
Try to make sure that your children, your family become servants whom Allah Almighty loves. And to achieve that, to make your family become people and to make your children to become people, servants of Allah Almighty, who Allah Almighty loves, is something that requires you to make sacrifices.
Bazen nefsine beğenip Allah'ın dediğini yapman lazım.
In order to make your family, your children become people whom Allah Almighty loves, one needs to overcome one's own ego.
Allah'ın sevdiği şeyler yapmak lazım.
One needs to overcome one's own ego and make and fulfill and do those things which Allah Almighty loves and which Allah Almighty orders.
En sevdiği Allah Azze ve Celle'nin sevdiği insanlar genç olup Allah yolunda olanlar.
And what Allah Almighty loves the most are those youngsters who, even though they are young, they follow the way of Allah Almighty and they have dedicated themselves to the way of Allah Almighty.
Onları Allah Azze ve Celle sever. Onu sevdiği vakit
Allah Almighty loves those youngsters who follow His way while still being young.
Onlara olan ikram ailelerine de onları yetiştirenlere de ikram olur.
And Allah Almighty will provide those youngsters who follow His way with His divine favors, and they will be beneficial. Those youngsters will be beneficial not only to themselves, but they also will be a source of benefits and blessings for their families.
Hem daima olur. Onların sonra ondan gelen ameller onlara da fayda eder.
The blessings and the benefits of those youngsters, of those children who follow the way of Allah Almighty, will be perpetual, and and their parents and their families will continue to receive the blessings and the benefits of the children who follow the way of Allah Almighty.
İnsanoğlunun defter ameli kapanır diye öldüğü vakit 3 şeyden hariç.
And when a person dies, the book of records will close for that person. However, there are 3 exceptions.
Hiçbir şey olmaz. Yani sevap almaz insan. Birisi hayırlı evlat yetiştirip.
And when one dies, the book of deeds will close, and there will be no chance to receive the rewards and blessings of good acts any longer. However, there are 3 exceptions, and one of those exceptions being having raised good children and receiving the blessings and the benefits and rewards of the good deeds of the children one has left behind.
O yolda, Allah yolunda olan o sevabı o da kazanmış olur.
When one's child follows the way of Allah Almighty, the blessings and the rewards of the good deeds the child performs will not only then benefit that child, but also they will be added to the record of his parents.
Bir de ilim öğretip o ilim devam ettiği vakit o kadar hepsinin hesabını o da alır.
Moreover, another source of blessings and rewards that will continue even beyond when one dies and when one's book of records is closed is knowledge. When one has taught knowledge and when one has transmitted knowledge and through that teachings has made people follow it the right way, then the blessings of those who use that good knowledge and perform good deeds, the blessings and rewards of them will not only be for the benefit of those who do those good deeds, but also to those who have taught that knowledge, and they will be registered in the records of as good deeds for those people, even though they may have left this world already, but they will still receive those blessings.
Bir de hayırlı iş yapar, cami yapar, çeşme yapar, ev yapar, yani bunlar yapılan şeyler.
And the third exception, that even though one's book of records will be closed after one's death, the third exception is that if one has performed good deeds, has performed charitable acts such as building a fountain or building a mosque or building accommodation for people, those good deeds and the blessings and the rewards of such charitable acts will continue to be the source of blessings and rewards for those people, for those people who have left this world, even though their book of records may already have been closed, they will still receive the rewards.
Sağlık olur. En mühimi de hayırlı evlat yetiştirince.
And among these three things is the most important is to raise good children and to leave behind good children.
O hem kendisine faydası olur.
Good children will not only be, their blessings and benefits will not only be for themselves, but also for their parents.
Hayırlı evlat hem dünyada yaşarken de faydalı olur.
Good children will benefit you both in this world while you are still alive.
Senden sonra da onun faydası daim olur.
And also when you will have left this world, you will still continue to receive the blessings and the rewards of good children.
Onun için bu dikkat etmek lazım ki.
Therefore, this is a matter of great importance.
Ahir zamanda yaşadığımız için.
And we now live in the end of times.
Şeytan ve şeytanla beraber olan insanlar musallat olmuşlar.
And the devils and shaitan and those who are with shaitan, they attack people.
Rahat bırakmıyorlar.
And they do not leave people alone.
Zaten çocuk nefsi var, onu da yapar.
And especially they attack children and youngsters. Of course, children and youngsters, they too have an ego.
İstedikleri var. Onları yapsın diye ona yardım ederler.
Youngsters, of course, they have desires, and shaitan and those who are with shaitan and follow shaitan, they attack youngsters to make them follow their ego's desires.
Allah yoluna uzak tutarsın diye.
They try their best to make them stay away from the way of Allah Almighty.
Yardım ederler. Onu da yapsın diye. İşte çocuklar serbest bırakılır. Ondan sonra benim oğlum böyle, benim kızım şöyle oldu diye.
And when you don't make sure that your children are raised properly, if you leave them alone, and if you leave them at the mercy of shaitan and those people who follow shaitan, they will take care instead of you to raise those children, but they will raise them to make them follow their egos, and then you will realize and be in a state where you will complain about why your children acts and behaves the way and does the things he does.
Yapar. Ya fazla baskı yaparlar, o da başka bir şey olur.
And another problem is that parents may put their children under pressure too much.
Daha ters sefer.
And that also makes children go the opposite way.
خیر امور الوسط پیغمبر صلی الله علیه و سلم orta halde gitmen lazım fazla baskı değil.
Therefore, it is important to not leave one's children alone completely, and it's important to not go the other extreme and to not put them under too much pressure. But as our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said that one should follow the middle way, and that teaching also applies to when it comes to raising children.
İyilikten fazla da serbest bırakmak, o da nefsine musallat olur.
And it is important to teach children what is good and encourage them and instruct them in doing good things, but also one does not be extreme in teaching and raising one's children. But on the other side, one doesn't also be extreme in leaving one's children completely alone, because if you leave them alone, then shaitan, they will be left to shaitan and the ego.
Kurtulmak lazım. Her şeyi usulü adamınca İslam'ın öğrettiği gibi, Peygamber Efendimiz sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem gösterdiği gibi.
For everything, there is a way and a method how to do things, and when it comes to raising children, we must try to teach them how and what Islam orders us to do, and what the way of our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is.
Yetiştirmek lazım ki dengeli olsun.
And to teach them about the orders of Islam, and to teach them about the way of our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, will make them see the balance of going the middle way.
Kendini bilsin.
And it will teach them to know themselves.
Kendini bilen Allah azze ve celle bilir.
And once they know themselves, and once they know their own limits, they will know their Lord, Allahumma.
Men arife nefsi fakat arife Rabbah der Muhaddin Abi Hazretleri. Kendini bilen Allah azze ve celle'yi bilir.
Muhaddin ibn Arabi thus says that the one who knows himself knows his Lord.
Kendini bilmeyen hiçbir şey bilmez.
Those who do not know themselves, they don't know anything.
Bütün diplomalar fayda etmez, hiçbir şey işe yaramaz.
No matter how many diplomas they may have, if they do not know themselves, they have no value.
Aldım işte şu kadar yüksek okudum, o kadar alçak okudum diye övünerse insan, Allah azze ve celle bilmedikten sonra hiçbir şey bilmemiş, boşuna harcamış hayatını.
Whatever education you may have undergone, whether it's higher education or lower education, if you have not learned about yourself, about your limits, you have not learned about your Lord, Allahumma, then you have not learned anything at all.
Eziyet çekmiş. Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us.
Allah çoluğumu hepimizi korusun nefsin şeytan şerrinden.
May Allah Almighty protect us. May Allah Almighty protect us and our children from the evil of the ego and shaitan.
Amin. Al-Fatih.